Translation with purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The living entities are energies, not the energetic. The energetic is Krishna. This is very vividly described in the Bhagavad Gita, the Vishnu Purana, and the other Vedic literatures. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. As already explained, there are three prasthanas on the path of advancement in spiritual knowledge, namely Nyaya Prasthana, which is the Vedanta philosophy, Shruti Prasthana, the Upanishad and Vedic mantras, and the Smriti Prasthana, which is the Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, Puranas, and etc. Unfortunately, Mayavadi's philosophers do not accept the Smriti Prasthana. Smriti refers to the conclusion drawn from the Vedic evidence. Sometimes Mayavadi philosophers do not accept the authority of the Bhagavad Gita and the Puranas. And this is called Ardha Kukuti Nyaya. Ardha Kukuti Nyaya. The logic of a half hen, the half chicken logic. And this is to be found in the Adi Lila 5, text 176. If one believes in the Vedic literatures, one must accept all the Vedic literatures recognized by the great acharyas. But the Mayavadi philosophers accept only the Nyaya Prasthana and Shruti Prasthana, rejecting the Smriti Prasthana. Here, however, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cites evidence from the Gita, Vishnu Purana, etc., which are Smriti Prasthana. No one can avoid the personality of Godhead in the statements of the Bhagavad Gita and the other Vedic literatures, such as the Mahabharata and the Puranas. Lord Chaitanya therefore quotes a passage from the Bhagavad Gita 7.5. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Datati Swapadandikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangalam gayate girim Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Guru dinatarinam Panchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyahi vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastha Putale Shrimati Tamala Krishna Goswamiti Namane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastha Putale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pashkadate Satarine. The living entities are energies, not the energetic. The energetic is Krishna. This is very vividly described in the Bhagavad Gita, the Vishnu Purana, and the other Vedic literatures. So Krishna is stated here that he is the source of all the energies. He is the energetic, the source of the living entities, and this is the point that the Mayavadi philosophers, they are missing, which is the main point. Srila Prabhupada gives the example of the sun a couple of times in the Srimad Bhagavatam. When the sun comes in the room, even though we say the sun is coming into the room through the window, but actually it's not the sun that is coming in the room, but is the energy of the sun. The sun rays. So there is a difference between the sun and the energy of the sun, because if the sun comes in the room, then we all melt down, and that's it. There will be the end of it. But if the energy of the sun comes in the room, then it will warm us and give light. So there is a difference. There is less power. But it is exactly the similar quality of power. In terms of quality, is the similar quality like the sun. So therefore, in terms of quality, they are the same. But in terms of potency and quantity, there is a huge difference. Just like the drop of the ocean and the ocean. The drop of the ocean cannot cause tsunami, and it cannot drown a human being. It may be drown the insect or some atoms. But so there is a difference between the two. Krishna is Vibhu, cited by the Srila Prabhupada quotes the Purana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In the Puranas, very often you find the term Vibhu, the greatest, and we are Anu, the smallest. Krishna is infinitely great. He's always increasing his greatness, where we are infinitely small. Anu means small. But it doesn't mean that we decrease in potency until we become nothing. Small means the individuality, that energy is existing eternally and is a part and parcel of Krishna. It is not that I remember once I was talking to someone and he had a very weird understanding about the energy, the individual soul in relationship with God. He agreed with me that we are energy of Krishna, or energy of God, and we are connected to God. But he differed with me on one point, saying that the energy is just like the electricity. You know, it gets consumed all the time until vanish. So he said that the living entities actually was new for me. It's something that it made a sense, but actually at the same time it didn't make any sense. So the living entities, they are consumed in their lives. We are born from God, we come into this world, but then at the end of life, the soul, when it runs out of energy, it's finished, it's consumed. So death means that the energy is actually, the soul is disposable, has no more power. So it was very interesting theory, and I was scratching my head, and I couldn't really relate to that theory because that makes the and you also gave the example of like the sun. The sun is shrinking in size because it's emanating all this energy from the sun rays, and the sun is getting consumed. By saying that, I asked him a question: do you think that, or do you believe that God, it's diminishing, or He stays the same, He's eternal, or is it temporary? Or he said, no, God is there, but it's actually eternal. But we are disposable. We are, we come into existence, and then after some time we disappear, and then He creates new living entities. And it didn't really make sense to me, because by this theory, one is actually making the existence of God limited, and means that the energy of God is diminishing all the time. But that's not a fact. Krishna is asama urdhva. It cannot be equaled by anybody, and He's the greatest. And His greatness is always increasing. So the theory was baffled. It couldn't really make sense to me, because by making that statement, it means that every time that God creates something, is subject to annihilation or to disappear. That means He's limited. To the fact that at some point God, it's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. Just like the sun, when it loses energy, it becomes a small, according to him. So, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's inviting all the students, spiritual students, Mayavadi, impersonalists, Vaishnavas, to read actually the verdict of the Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, because there we find the real tattva, the truth about the relationship between Krishna, God, and the living entities, and also the difference between the two. So materialistic people, they worship always the inferior energy of God, because the concept of God, it's an impediment for the tendency to enjoy, for sense gratification. Very often Srila Prabhupada quote that the advanced materialists, they have this philosophy like Ravana, to enjoy the kingdom of Ram, but without Ram. So the materialists, they try to enjoy this inferior energy of Krishna, which is the matter, and is innocent. But is also, you will find in the next verse, or the verse before I was reading, that the matter is full of ignorance. Just like you find, the human beings, we go out to preach to those who are ignorant and innocent. Ignorance means that there is no understanding, no discrimination into the criteria of the subject. So similarly, the material energy, it's ignorant by nature. Shishirada Gokulananda ki jai. Sitaram Lakshmanuman Shishi Gornitai ki jai. But on the other hand, you find in the Bhagavad Gita the same energy is glorified by Krishna. Devyesha Gunamai Mamamaya Duratya. It's a divine energy, but because it's governed, it's actually controlled. It's made out of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So therefore, has this energy has no power to control, but it exists there to be controlled. Now, if it's controlled by Krishna, that is the proper. It's the proper dynamic, because Krishna creates and Krishna destroys. If we can give a life, for example, Srila Prabhupada diffused the argument of one of the scientists. He said, it's not that it's forbidden to kill. You can kill if you want, but only if you have the ability to create again the same. If you can kill the cow, if you can create the cow. If you have the ability to create, then you can kill. But because we don't, therefore it's forbidden. But Krishna can create and he can kill. Because he can create again exactly the same thing. So the material energy should be actually controlled and maneuvered by Krishna. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. The Bhagavad Gita again gives the verdict that behind the curtains of this material energy, that it should only be the hand of God. But the problem starts when we are like the intermediate. We are, the Jiva Shakti, it's actually marginal. It's marginal means also it's in, it's between, but it's also out. We are intruders, you can say. We are part of Krishna, we are spiritual, but at the same time, our business is to only be with Krishna. We got nothing to do with this material energy. But because we had this desire to control over it, so therefore we come in as the intruders, like Wednesday between the week. We have to interfere. We have to control the energy. So this inferior energy of Krishna, which has less power, we have more power than this energy, because we can do things. We can make the body moving. We can we can form things. We can destroy a little bit and then build, destroy, and we are the architect of this energy. We're just playing around, just like the children, they do with the toys. But there is no life in this Prakriti. There is no consciousness. This Prakriti is actually, that's why it's full of ignorance. Ignorance means that there is nothing there. It's an empty shell. So the material energy, it's actually murtimat. Anasuya, there is no consciousness in it. It's inferior energy, even inferior to the jivas. So the materialist people, they worship, they want this energy, and therefore this energy, this inferior energy, becomes to the point that becomes even more interesting than God Himself. That is why we are here, because we paid more interest to play around with this energy, to do things with it, to become attached to it, to identify with it, more than we want to be with Krishna, with God. Just like Srila Prabhupada gives the example, there is the less intelligent and the more intelligent. The example of Duryodhana, when he went to Krishna for asking for help to go on Kurukshetra, to form the battle. He went to Krishna, and Krishna asked him, "What would you like?" And Duryodhana and Arjuna, they were there present, and because he was less intelligent, he said, "I want your Akshayini, your power." But when it came to Arjuna, Krishna said, "Well, I don't have anything left. Duryodhana took everything, so I'm just myself. I don't have any power. You just got me. So you can fight with me, and I can't even fight. I can only drive your chariot. Or you can just, go back and, and I can't give you anything." And because Arjuna was very intelligent, he understood that Krishna is actually the source of the energy that Duryodhana took. So he said, "I've got you, my Lord, and, please come and be on my side, even if you don't fight, but at least you are on my side." So that was much more intelligent choice to choose to have Krishna rather than his energy. So materialist people, they do the same thing. We make a poor choice to always choose to associate with this energy. And in the beginning, once we accept this material body, then the false ego comes in, and the jiva steps out from the control of the body. It says that prakriti kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasa. Krishna again says in the Gita, at some point, that when we come in contact with this material body, at that time, the jiva does not act anymore. And that's why it's called conditioned soul. But it's actually rather conditioned. By what? Gunai karmani sarvasa. By the guna, by the goodness, passion and ignorance. The false ego takes the control of the body, and it becomes the pilot, the false pilot of the body. So it is so an unfair deal, that by coming in contact with this energy, we think that we are actually controlling. We can't even control our bodies. But there is something else that comes in and controls everything and everybody. That's the false ego. And by this association, the false ego and the matter, then desires are produced. The false ego always carries, the mind, intelligence, and by the help of these two, we build up false concept of life. I am the body. Those are my children. These are my possessions. This is my car, this is my society, my friendship. So there are so many false claims, which actually they have nothing to do with the soul. Because the only thing that the soul possesses, that's Krishna. It is said that the only, in the Upanishad, the only possession for the soul is the Paramatma, it's Krishna. The only connection that the soul has spiritually with another object, that's the Paramatma. But the soul actually has nothing to do with the body, because otherwise we'll be living eternally in this body. If the body is a part and pulse of the soul, then even when we die, the soul will remain there. But no, the soul gets out and goes into another situation, into another concept, and forms another illusion, or becomes victimized by another illusion. But there is only one substance, you can say, principal substance that comes, follows the soul into a next situation, next destination, and that's the Paramatma, the supreme substance, Krishna. So we can see that we are the substance of Krishna, and our substance is actually the same, and the identification should be only to be servant of that substance. Krishna is the energetic. You can call it energy or substance, or so therefore Krishna is the source, and we are eternally connected to that source. But we keep making the wrong choice all the time. Why? Because we misuse the freedom that He gives. He gives in the soul. Actually, there's a wonderful. It's a wonderful phenomena that even in the Bhagavad Gita, there are scholars and philosophers, and Krishna says some they see the souls as a wonderful thing. Some they see, anyway, there are so many statements there. But actually, who knows the nature of the soul? Only Krishna. And a liberated soul, someone who has actually achieved the liberation, who is not subject to the illusion of this material energy, of the covering. So then that person can understand the nature of the soul, and is full of opulence. It's full of wealth, and it has an individuality, it has a tendency, and that beautiful tendency again in the Srimad Bhagavatam says that is to love. Tendency to love, and how do you express the love? By giving. Has a tendency to give. That's the difference between the soul and the mind, or the false ego. The false ego has a tendency to take, but the soul has the tendency to give. So, as a spiritualist, as a devotee, you can actually find out very quickly with a very simple exam, self-examination of yourself. Where are you situated? If you are situated spiritually or materially, you can just enter into your mood and see if you are in a giving mood or in taking mood. Taking mood means nasochati, nakanshati, always hankering and lamenting. This is actually the screaming and the talking of the false ego. Please give me this, bring me that. I am cold, bring me some heat. I'm hungry, give me some food. I'm tired, take my body to sleep. So the tendency of the false ego is always in the mood of wanting, taking. Taking what? Things in relationships with the body. And the body is actually by nature full of ignorance. It's always hankering, for satisfaction, because the senses are considered to be duspareena nalena cha. They are wanting, but they are never satisfied. The material senses. But the spiritual senses, we also have a wonderful personality, which is the jiva, the soul. But when it's engaged into the service of the master of the senses, Rishikesha Rishikenam Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate, with the power of seva, devotional service, that's when we are satisfied. Then we become Atmaram. Another crown jewel of the soul is that it's not just always giving, but as this wonderful crown jewel of satisfaction, Atmaram. More you give and more you are satisfied. So that's why by giving service, it's actually the secret formula of the happiness, peace formula of the soul, happiness of the soul. By serving other living entities, we can serve the material energy instead to exploiting it. In what way we serve the material energy? By recognizing that it's there, it's created by Krishna, and let me use it into the service of Krishna. It is there as a tool to to help us to get out of this illusion. It is there to be seen as an energy of Krishna. Even if we don't use it in Krishna's service, if we just recognize the fact that it's been created by Krishna, by God, and it's not mine, that's already a great advancement. So it's like, again, there are two types of people. If someone, a less intelligent person, if he sees a painting, he appreciates the painting and he glorifies the painting, and then that's it. The appreciation stops there. But another person who is more intelligent, he appreciates the painting, but then he asks the question, who is the artist? Then because he wants actually give appreciation and congratulate to the artist. Otherwise, it's very impersonal. You appreciate, a beauty, some manifestation of this energy. There's like the sun, the beautiful mountains, the river. I was driving towards Italy in August to visit my relatives and some devotees, and it was a very beautiful scenario, nice breeze and beautiful mountains, waterfall, lakes, river, and when you look at those things, the sun, nighttime, a beautiful sky, and the wind, everything is like a very surrounding us. It's actually a beautiful energy. But if we just recognize that this beauty, it's actually a small spark from Krishna's possessions. It's a Krishna's energy. And that's, if we become so much enamored by this energy, which is inferior to the jiva and inferior to Krishna. So what to speak about if we see the spiritual world, which is superior to the material energy, how much more we become attached to it, how much more we become enamored by it. Therefore, we are content with that's why we are unfortunate. We become content and satisfied with this ugly thing. I mean, it's not ugly, I don't want to say, but with this inferior pleasure. But if we try to understand a little bit about the prayers of Lord Brahma, describing, the spiritual world, that every step is like a dance, every word is like a song, every little stone is a jewel, and you're satisfied, at every level. You have a little bit of milk from the Surabi cow. It's like having a huge, beautiful feast. There are lakes full of, even in the heavenly planets, you find things like that. There's a lake of yogurt or lake of nectarian lakes, which here, we don't have much assets on this earthly planet. It's just salty water, some sweet water, and that's it. And you find some sewage here and there. But if we are intelligent, then we turn our attention back towards our source, which is Krishna. Because we have betrayed him, we have betrayed the association that we had with Krishna once for something inferior. And that's why we are struggling and we are suffering. We are lost. It is not that, this is the difference actually between the jiva, the energy and the energetic. That Krishna, it's infallible. He never betrays us. But we betray him. We have a tendency, being limited, we can fall down from his association, but he never falls down from our association. Because he could see that even though we went far away from him, but still is chasing us in the form of Paramatma. He never left us. We cannot blame God if we went away from him. It's not the other way around, that Krishna left us and we are chasing him we are not as a Paramatma, isn't it? In Krishna's personality, but it's the other way around, that we left him and he's actually guiding us in the form of Paramatma. So you could see this is actually an act of love, eternal commitment that Krishna will never desert. That's why he says, my devotee will never perish. Even any living entities you find in this world, actually nobody is perishing. In terms of, when we mention the word perish, means that, as I said before, that the individual soul becomes, at some point it becomes nothing, that perishes into nothing. It's not like that. Krishna always sustain and how do you say, there is a word in English, he protects our individuality to remain intact, preserves, that's the word. He always preserves our potency. The way we were billions and billions of lifetimes in the spiritual world, that's the way we are now. The same potency is still there. It's not that it's diminished. It's just that now we are covered. So, and the secret formula to get back into our original constitution in serving him and without any more lamentation, it's actually to recognize this fact that he's our source. Because very often people, why we do book distribution, why we go out, or why we preach to people, what is actually the main message when we preach to people? The main message is actually into few words. We remind the people who you are, where you come from, what is the purpose of life, and where you're supposed to go when you die. Who you are, we tell them, that you are a jiva, servant of God, eternal, and your relationship is through devotional service. You are in this situation because you chose to be, and this is the way out. You take up a little bit of bhakti, and then when you die, you go back home, back to Godhead. So this is actually the message, and we give the people the formula, how to become free from this labyrinth of material life, which is in Kali Yuga the formula for awakening this sambandha jnana, this understanding. Who is Krishna, who we are, what is material energy, why we are here. It's actually into the potency of this special mantra that we give to people. And it's Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Is there any questions?